Then we need to. No, that ain't it. That's it. That's it. Um, okay. So, did that. I need my glasses tonight. All right. Let's see what happens. Let us see. All right, y'all. If you're on here, this is Sister Talk with Valerie, and I am your host, Valerie McAllister, the Chocolate Smoothie. And we have a special episode of Sister Talk with Valerie tonight. We're going to be talking to Miss Tiffany Jones Ashley. Hey, Eleanor. What's happening, Eleanor? Hey, Londia. So, y'all know I'm not technical. Just gonna tell you right now. So, we are waiting for Miss Tiffany Jones Ashley to come on. But before she comes on, and let's do a little setup. Again, let's get all cheered up and excited about tonight's guest. My name is Valerie McAllister of Sister Talk with Valerie, and I am your chocolate smoothie on Untapped Music Radio, which airs every Friday at 7:30. Please tune in. Tonight, I have invited a very special person to talk to me tonight. Now, I sent her a friend request. Y'all know that I don't do real good with technical stuff, but I did send out the friend request. And God willing, what's going to happen is that she's going to come on and talk to us. Matter of fact, we're just going to claim it right on right now because, hey, James, we're just going to claim it right on right now because we know that we can do all things through God, through Christ. We can do it. So we know, see, what happens is, like, when I'm getting ready to do a show that I feel, not that all the shows are not powerful, but it's just really something about this guest, then technology want to act crazy. Right? You can't hear me, Tiffany says she can't hear me. All right. You got to accept my friend request. Can y'all hear me? Let's see. All right. Y'all. Eleanor. James. Can y'all hear me? There go Tiffany. Oh, I think I did it. Can y'all hear me though? Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you now.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't hear her. Good evening.
See, look, the enemy was getting ready to try us tonight, but we ain't playing.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you, Miss Lady?
I'm doing well. I'm a little nervous, but I'm doing good.
Don't be nervous. We're just going to have a conversation. So let me set it up for the
Yep.
guests. So, y'all, I have a special guest tonight. Her name is Miss Tiffany Jones Ashley. So I'm going to give y'all a little background. So, and you jump in as you will, and then I have some questions for you. So I met this young lady. God, it must have been about, I don't know, at least 15 years ago. So I was working for the city of Richmond, and I was doing like youth counseling and working for the city doing youth programs. And I met Tiffany, and she was probably about 13 years old, right? She
Yeah.
was just cutest little thing, but she had all this fire in her. Like, yeah, Miss Valley, I ain't gonna be doing da da da. She just had all this fire in her. And it was her and another young man that were like this young man, her and him were my favorites, right? And so when I first met her, and it's difficult to explain, but there was something about Tiffany that just pulled on my heart. Like I just automatically fell in love with her. And I remember you ain't supposed to do this back in the day, but I even brought her to my house one day, like, come take a ride with me. I was living up in Caroline County. She came with me to the house. And throughout the years, God has like, and I have left Virginia a couple of times, but for whatever, God has sort of connected us. So I remember she was in this, and I'm very transparent Tiffany. So if there are
It's cool.
things that you okay. So I remember she had went in, she was in this group home, and she was off my caseload, and I hadn't seen her for a while, but then she was in a group home and I went to visit her there. And then later on in years, I saw her again at a park, and then she had her first baby and I saw her again. She did my hair for me. So just God has just kept her in my life. So the other day I am just scrolling through Facebook Live, probably about a week or so ago, and I've been watching Tiffany, right? I've been watching her growth, and she was praying for just praying, just she was just praying and calling on God and just praying for people and talking about, sharing her experience and sharing her journey. And God said, Lord have mercy, you got to talk to her because y'all, one of the reasons why I want Tiffany to come on is because sometimes we don't talk about our stuff. We don't let people know what we've been through. And especially for young girls, like especially for young girls out there. Now, this young lady, when I met her, she had been running away from home. Her grandfather was like, that was the person in her life that she really loved. But she loved that. Like she used to call him daddy. I love daddy, but Miss Val, I gotta do what I gotta do. I mean, she had all this attitude, but she was so respectful. She was always respectful of me. And I know she's going through a lot. And I think it's important to understand that I don't care what we go through in life, that there is there is a testimony in the trials that we go through. And that a lot of times it feels like, why is God taking me through this? And why is God taking me through that? But you never know what it's for. So now Tiffany I see her sharing her story with other people. This young lady has children. She's married. She's a homeowner. I've seen her when she was going to school and getting her education. And I watched her blossom. And even as Tiffany's been going through things in life, I've been going through things too. So for us to be here to this day, and me be able to see this young lady and see what God is doing in her life is just a blessing to me. And I wanted y'all to be blessed by her too. So welcome, Miss Tiffany Jones Ashley.
Hey, Miss Valerie.
Hey,
Hey, Miss
look, and
Valerie.
she's still calling Miss Valerie. This woman is 30 years old. She got children of her own. She still calls Miss Valerie. See, I love her. So, Tiffany, first of all, let's start when I first met you about 13 years, when you was 13 years old. Wasn't you like 13?
I was in the sixth grade, so I was about 11 to 12. I started really
Oh
early.
my God.
Yes. I just didn't care about anything. I felt like didn't nobody care about me, and I didn't care about anything, not even myself. So at that point, it was more so I was running the streets seeking for my mom's love. Because my mother lived over north side and she was on drugs. So I would just run away and go chase after her all the time. In the midst of doing that, I met a lot of people. A lot of people. I believe, and I don't know if I ever told you this, but I believe you're one of my angels because as I was going through all that, it's like somebody always intervened. Like God sent somebody to intervene on my behalf to slow me down just a little bit, you know. Um, yeah, so I believe we go through stuff. Um, well, I know for sure we go through stuff for the benefit of others. So my life could help somebody else's life. And at first I was too ashamed to say anything about it, a lot of stuff. But now it's just like, okay, Tiffany, you know. So yeah.
So I didn't even realize you were 12. So at that time, and I don't know if you realized that there was a fire in your eyes. Like there was, for me, a clear evidence that God had something for your life, that you were purposed. But tell me, like, what were you feeling? You're 11, you're 12 years old, you're going through a lot of stuff. Tell me how you were feeling in your mind. At that time, when you're young, we just kind of think, well, I'm whatever. But you tell me what you were feeling and thinking.
Um I was feeling unwanted, you know, being in school and my grandfather was raising me. I heard all the other kids talk about their parents and their brothers and sisters, and I felt like I didn't have that. Why my mom didn't want me. That was a big one. The house wasn't that clean. I couldn't have company. It was getting cursed out left and right, you know. So I just felt unwanted. Like I just didn't want to be there. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's where it all began. I just didn't want to. I didn't even want to exist. You know what I mean? At that point,
Hmm.
I just didn't care about anything. Um, yeah. So that's what happened.
So how did you get connected with juvenile justice?
Running away and Daddy filed a chance petition through the Richmond JDI. He filed a chance petition. They gave me a case manager, and that's how I got connected. But I don't know if you remember, Miss Valerie. I had ran away, and the truancy people brought me to your program. That's how I first ended
Oh,
up
that was
there.
the trap program.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the truancy program. So yeah, so that's how we got connected. But then ultimately, the way I ended up in foster care and things of that nature was that it had filed a chance petition, and being that they couldn't do what they need to do in home, they put me in placement.
So tell me, what was it like being that young and being in placement?
Um, for me, I think my story might be a little different because me being in placement, it was like it was peace. You know, it was peaceful. I was happy to have structure. I was happy, but I kept chasing what was outside of everything that I knew what was right for me. You know what I mean? Because by that time I was into guys, older men, way older men. I was getting high. I was just doing everything under the sun, and that was fun for me. But I knew at the end of the day, especially as a juvenile, that when I got tired, I could go back to placement. I just call the social worker and be like, I'm tired, can I come back? And that's
Wow.
kind of
So
thing.
placement was peace for you. Was
Yeah,
it peace from the running, or was it peace from just kind of settling your mind and settling you down?
just yeah, being somewhere that actually felt like home, you know. All children need a home, like actual home, to know that they're loved in the home. And when I used to go to placement, it felt like home. We sat down and we ate dinners together. We got to communicate and talk. And that was one of the big things that in my house it was always do as I say, not as I do. So we didn't have a voice. It didn't matter what was going on. We couldn't talk about it, you know. And in placement was a little different because we could actually communicate and talk and have groups and realize I wasn't the only one going through stuff.
So you met. I'm assuming you met a lot of young other people that was in placement and stuff with you. So how was their experience, or how do you feel your experience was different from theirs?
Um, I think all of us were kind of similar in a sense, as far as feeling feeling like we just was chasing after our parents. A lot of us was chasing after our parents, like we just wanted to be with our parents just because that was our parent. Whether it was safe, unsafe, however. Some people didn't have parents. We had people. Some of the people in placement self mutilated. It was wow. It was wow. Um, But at the end of the
So
day,
just so for our audience, because I want people to understand, like, because we got a lot of young people out there right now. Self mutilation is when you cutting yourself, you
yeah,
hurting yourself, you doing harm to yourself.
yeah, purging, sticking their finger down their throat to throw up. One time I was in Poplar Springs, and one day my roommate actually used to make herself pass out, and I'd be like, why? Because I can't say I stood out from anybody, but I didn't know anything about that stuff. You know what I mean? It was one particular time. Matter of fact, how I ended up in Poplar Springs. the the twin bombings was going on, and Dad had beat me real bad, and I cut my arm up, but I cut my arm up to stop the pain from what was going on inside. Like, okay, if he gonna be beating me, I might as well beat myself up. I'm tired of it. And I ended up in Poplar Springs, and going there, I kind of faked the system to get back home, even though I knew that's not where I need to be. You know what I mean? I would walk around, Miss Valerie. I walked around for till I turned 18, 19, acting like everything was okay. My world was okay. Everything was fine and dandy. So finally, I got to the point where I had no choice but to get help. Like, really, really get help. And what happened was I ended up having a mental breakdown. Like, they said it was post traumatic stress disorder, but I ended up having a mental breakdown. I called the foster care workers. I couldn't go back. I had aged out. They said, Tiffany, we're done with you. And I I just wanted to leave the earth because it was too much going on. Called out the guy. Then eventually I ended up at MCV or somewhere, one of the, mental treatment facilities. And I still couldn't think straight. Like my mind couldn't function. Anxiety was taking over. I was thinking about all the things that I did to others, all the things that was done to me, molestation, rape, all that different stuff. And it just hit me all at one time. And I went in and out of the hospital for months. Then finally I went to Caritas.
But here's the thing, Tiffany. You were a child, you were a baby, and you went through a whole lot. You know, being out, because the streets ain't no joke. It's a lot of stuff out there, messing with older men, like you said, molestation, rape. A lot of us, I've been molested too. And as a child, it's difficult to deal with those things when you are an adult. So trying to navigate through those as a child is even more stress, and not feeling like you have anybody to really that's going to understand. One of the things I think with young people is that a lot of times they don't think that adults really understand. And if you don't have a voice to feel like you can talk about things, then you feel like you're really alone. You have people, there's nobody there, there's nobody to talk to, nobody understands, so now you're really alone. And one of the things that you said I think is important for people to understand is that you came out from a household is do as I say. You do what I say. That's it. Not as there's
Yeah,
no conversation, right?
yeah. It's really
That's a hard.
yeah, it's really tough growing up like that because you just feel like you're null and void. You just there. It's nothing that you can do. You're not really learning too much. It's no praise or I was straight A student all through elementary, and that's what was expected of me. So it was okay. What's the point? You kind of get tired of it. Tired of doing all this stuff, and it's like it's no point in it because the moment you make a mistake, you're gonna be down. Um, and then daddy used to drink real bad. So yeah, that's kind of how it was to finally I started meeting people in the neighborhood, and they introduced me to certain things. And that stuff I felt like make me happy, especially having sex. I started having sex when I was 11. So but I thought that made me happy. I thought the person loved me, and from there everything just went haywire kind of because I was introduced to stuff that I didn't know anything about, but I felt like it was better than what I was dealing with at home. You know?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and that wanting somebody to love you again. Let me tell you something, babe. I don't want you. Don't feel no kind of way. Ain't no shame, ain't no embarrassment here, right? I'm very transparent. I tell all my business. I don't even care because ain't nobody got me never the hell to put me in. But it's for other people because that need to be loved. I went through that period of life too when I was younger. Just like you get involved in these relationships because the dudes are telling you what you want to hear. You want to feel like love. And it wasn't because I did not get love from home because my mom loved me. But my dad was an alcoholic and he was outside of the home, and I was constantly searching to replace my
Mm-hmm.
dad. So you do get into relationships, and once you open that door, there's so many other things. Like, that's when drugs come in. That's when stuff that you never thought you would ever do happens because you just in that situation.
Mm-hmm. But at that time, it took the place of whatever it is I thought I was searching and seeking. I think ultimately, even going through all that stuff over the years, one of the best things that could have ever happened to me is Daddy introducing me to church. If we couldn't do nothing, we can get on that church van and go on down the street. So even in the midst of being in the streets and being scared, because there was a lot of times I was scared. I didn't show nobody else, but I was really really scared. Fearful. It had been times that I was in situations that I shouldn't be here probably. But God, if I could call on anybody, I knew I can call on God. So I used to be like, Lord, help me. And, even when I look at the news now and see all the stuff going on, that could have been me. Most definitely. Oh my gosh, just and that's what made me say that prayer. That's what made me actually go on and tell part of my story. When the two young girls came on missing, we used to sleep at that man's house. 13 years
Yeah,
old.
tell that story. Tell that story.
Yeah,
So there's a guy who well, you tell it.
there's a guy. It was on the news actually, maybe a week or two ago, and it was some young girls missing with him. They had said that he kidnapped, napped them. I don't know the whole story, but in the end, he ended up abusing them and different things of that nature. So this same guy, and he's a registered sex offender. This same guy, when we used to run away from Bouchard, we would go sleep on his couch, 13 years old, 12, 13 years old. Go sleep on this couch, go in there, take a shower because we didn't want to smell like whatever going home. And I never slept with him. The girl I used to deal with, she never slept with him. But that was nobody but God in the midst because we didn't know that man could have did anything to us. And he was a sex offender back then. But we didn't know that. So here it is. We thinking this older guy just taking us in. But what ultimately what was happening, he was trying to groom us, but we didn't understand that then. But God.
That's important. That's important, Tiffany, because there's a lot of young girls out here. So when you feel like you're misunderstood and there's nobody there that understands you, so you got this person, oh, this is a safe place. I don't know, Uncle Joe or whatever. You can go to Uncle Joe's house because he's going to look out for us. And they make you feel like they're really looking out for you. In the meantime, he's grooming young girls, and he fast forward to these years later, still doing it. So
Mhm.
you got a lot of people that look like they just love kids. I don't care where they are. They could be your basketball coach, they could be a teacher, they could be your choir director. I don't care. But people that spend a little bit too much time focusing on children, you got to
Mhm.
be parents, adults. You need to check that.
Most definitely. Keep ass out and ears on your babies. I always ask my kids constantly, and I do it because I know I didn't get it. Um, and I always say this, but I didn't have a mom to teach me how to be a mom. I didn't have any of that stuff. I had y'all, my foster care workers, my mentors, truancy, probation officers. That's who I had. So even with my babies, I try to talk to them all the time. But what's awesome, even about going through all that stuff, is the fact that I can see stuff that a lot of people wouldn't see because I went through it. You know what I mean? Even like for instance, one of my daughters, she cut her cousin dog baby hair. Manner, really, really manner. But I had to sit back and talk to her. I said, "Well, Mook, what made you do that?" She said, "Well, it's not fair because Mara gets so and so LOLs, and she only 9. Mara get LOLs, and I don't get LOLs when I want. But that's right there's being envious and jealousy, and her comparing herself to somebody else. So we had to have that conversation because I remember when. Okay, Mook, do you realize that God made you who you are for a reason? You're beautiful, you're amazing, so forth and so on. I never got that. So I know I got to do opposite from what was given to me. And even now, I struggle with like insecurity. I struggle with a lot of stuff, but I know that God gave me purpose. I know I got a
God
purpose
did
on this
you.
earth now, even after going through all that. Here in this
One
thing.
of the things I remember about you is that I wasn't the only one that loved you. There were a lot of like your caseworkers and stuff that just fell in love with you. Just was like, because there's something very special about you.
Even to this day. I don't know if you remember I used to talk about Miss Jones all the time. She was Jacksonville Home for Girls. She was my staff member there. And that's still my godmother. I call her my angel as well. And I go there and go on to the country and, spend time with her, me and my kids. To this day, I met that lady when I was 13. She still let me like her child. So, but it took y'all. It really, really took y'all to say, "Hey, it's gonna be okay. You're beautiful," because I didn't think I was pretty or any of that stuff. But at the end of the day, at the end of the night, when I lay down, I thank God for that. But then that's what I hear. That's what I try to replay. Because even 32 years old, you still go through stuff. You still have that's the enemy, but you still have those thoughts.
You had
Um,
them at 50, 57, young lady.
yeah,
They ain't
God.
stopped at 32. You got to combat that. But tell me, I know that your grandfather has passed on, Were you and him able to have like an adult Tiffany now conversation?
No, not really. So daddy was he didn't want to take accountability for anything. It was always okay, perfect example. I told you I was in the in and out there mental institutions when I was 19. So they would do family therapy. And in that I used to ask for daddy to come. And anytime I would say anything, he would say, "Oh, that ain't happened," and that's hurtful too. You know what I mean? He'll just be quick to say that ain't happened. She don't know what she's talking about, so forth and so on. So I was like, Daddy, I forgive you. It had to come to a point where I really, really had to forgive him because he didn't even understand the extent of my baby right here. I'm sorry, y'all. But he didn't understand the extent of how that affected me. Going out, Lord. I'm sorry.
That's all right. These are babies.
I tried to come in the car and had, but.
Hi, Miss Mook.
Okay, going out. Go in the house, I'm doing something really important.
Daddy could probably see us.
Thank you for going in the house and using your listening ears. They don't have on no code, Lord.
Please.
Go in the house.
That's all right.
Oh, my husband looking.
They want to see what's going on. Where their mama at?
Yeah.
Please. Mommy, Daddy got the phone.
Sorry, hold on, Miss Val.
It's okay.
Go in the house. Use your listening ears.
Can we eat?
To ask your dad. He's right there.
He just never gonna let us eat.
Hey, Mr. Ashley. Thank you for taking care of Tiffany.
Honey, Miss Val was saying, hey, can you go ahead and feed them dinner? Because it's important.
The food is almost done, honey.
Okay.
Listen, that's the girl. Listen, what you got is a family life. Ain't nothing to apologize for. Bless the Lord.
Mommy's gonna lie.
Today just said mommy's on live.
Yeah, you're lying and no one can even see you but mommy.
Bye, baby. They upset right now. But you see how vocal they are, right? They have a voice. The whole house has a voice.
That's all right. That's all right.
The whole house.
How many children do you have, Tiffany?
I have, bye-bye, love you. I have 3 biological children, and my husband has sole custody of his 2. So it's 5 all total.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah, they busy. They are busy, but they're my babies. So, and that's another thing. When I was 15, I went to the doctor. They said I had PCOS and I couldn't have children. And I rolled with it. I was doing all types of stuff. I just rolled with it. And I guess when the time was right, he said, well, you can have them now, So I got 3 biological.
The doctor said you couldn't have children?
Yeah, because I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which that's like your ovaries have overpopulated cysts. So it eliminates your cycle, stops ovulation, a whole lot of stuff go on. Create facial hair, all types of stuff. And by the grace of God, look at my babies, Yeah. Perfect. But
I think you were talking about how it was difficult to talk to your grandfather because he never wanted to take responsibility. And for adults out there are a lot of people who have gone through, say, molestation and is waiting for that person to apologize. That might not ever happen. That person that hurt you really deeply might not ever admit it, might not ever say, yeah, I did this. My molester not only did not apologize, but a couple years later thought he could come around my family and act like nothing happened. So when you forgive, and it's difficult to forgive somebody that hurt you like that, but it's about trying to heal yourself more than saying that what they did was right.
Yeah, because you got to release that. Once you forgive, and you release it out of your soul, because a lot of that stuff holds you down. My older brother, and he's not gonna be, upset with me saying this, because finally he's 37, and he done went through so much all in the streets, you know, just so much. Got to the point where I couldn't even talk to him no more. And finally this year he came out and he said, well, Tiffany, I was molested when I was 7 by a man. He said he was, you know, in the hole. He locked up. So he was in the hole and he said, well, I was in the hole and you always tell me talk to God. He said, so I feel like God want me to release this and help somebody else going through it. I don't want to kill him no more. And I said, Fatty, that's what you need. You got to forgive. Like, just learn how to forgive. And it's not for him. It's not for anybody else. It's ultimately for you, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I had to do with Daddy. That's what I had to, a lot of people just try to let it go because you wear them spirits. You wear them constantly. When you constantly replay that stuff, and it hurts you more than help you. So yeah, yeah.
A lot of young boys don't talk about being molested as much. It's hard for everybody, but for some more females seem to be able to at least say it than
Mhm.
young men, because then that's almost sometimes attached to their manhood. And so one of the
Mhm.
things that's important to say is that molestation and rape is an act that somebody takes against you. It is not your
Mhm.
fault. It doesn't mean that you're any less man or woman. It is an
Mhm.
act that is done to you. It is a violent, ugly, evil act that is done to you. And when it's done to children who don't have a voice, that is the most traumatic thing in the world. And you have to tell somebody when it's
Mhm.
happening to you.
A lot of times you be so afraid of how people gonna judge you that you choose not to even say anything. You know what I mean? Um, it take a toll on you. You know. So yeah. Again, now here it is years later, and we finally talking about it, but we ultimately realize that the stuff we go through is not solely for us. You know, it's a greater purpose in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Again, I went through. You know, so much, so much, so much. But yeah, I can smile, I can laugh.
Yeah.
My kids love me. You know, they're not abused, misused. God is good. That's all I'm gonna say. I got a lot
That
going
is
on, but
good.
God is good. You know, at the end of the
So
day.
tell us about. So I know that I remember one time when we had connected, you was in love with this guy, just loving this guy, and I don't know what happened to that. I can't remember where you were living at. That's when you had did my
Mosby.
hair.
Mosby. I was
Yeah.
living in Fair Hills.
But now you are Mrs. Ashley. So what happened with that whole love thing to get you to the point where I'm getting ready to find real love and marry my husband?
Mr. Ashley, which is completely different from anybody I ever dealt with in my life. I'm not gonna lie. Mr. Ashley treats me like a queen. Like he tells me I'm beautiful. He is so different. When I say so different, Quade, when I was with my kid's dad, he dogged me. He dogged me, but that's what I thought I was worth. You know, that's all I ever had. So I thought that's what it was. I was supposed to be called all types of names. So he would put his hands on me. We would fight. And what happened was I ended up having my children. When I had my second child, no, my third child, he put his hands on me. And that time I really, really fought back. And when I fought back, I went down to jail. When they took me down to city jail and I sat right there and I had to reflect and think, after that, I realized it was not worth it. You know, it was done. It was over with. It's not worth it. Um, anybody that anybody that could give you that much pain, it's a difference between an argument and physically putting your hands on somebody. Um, for him to, feel like it was okay because it was justified. Hey, I can do this because you did that. It got to the point where I couldn't deal with it no more. And Mr. Ashley was my friend. He was a real friend. Like, I would talk to him about everything. We met at work actually, and I would just talk to him. We'd be on lunch break. I'd be spilling the beans, and he had told me that he had came out and told me, "Go in the house." Okay, in the house. Love you. Bye bye. But one day he had told me that he loved me, and at that time I was like, "Oh, he's weird and he's a nerd and all this other stuff. Everything that the streets told me was whack, you know." and that wasn't good or didn't appear to be good. Um, I was like, I got a man pretty much. And then one night, me and Corday, we had split up, but he still was staying in my house. And I'm gonna tell you the God honest truth. He slept with my sister. My sister came out and told me. My at this time she was 15. He slept with my sister. Jasmine came out and told me after years, and I just boohooed and cried the whole night. And Mr. Ashley came and just held me and left. He kept asking me. He said, if I could do anything for you, what would you want me to do?" And I said, "I just want to go to sleep." I said, "Can you just hold me so I can go to sleep?" And that's what he did. That's what he did. He didn't try nothing. He didn't nothing. When I woke up, he was gone on home. Had locked my door and went on about his way. And I said, "You know what? This is a good man. You know." And he really is. He is an awesome guy. He hurt my nerves, but he's a good guy.
Girl, well, that's your husband supposed to be there. But here's the thing. So you had gone first. Let me ask you this: when did you tell anybody that you were being abused by Corday?
Um, so only the people in my direct circle knew. Only the people, but this is not the first time, Miss Valerie. Like every guy I ever dealt with, they put their hands on me. So I thought it was the norm. You know, I thought it was that's just what it is. And it got to the point where I started like really, really fighting back. And this last time he put his hands on me and they locked me up. And that's when I realized it's either gonna be my life or his. Because if I'm incarcerated, I'm not even gonna be able to get a job. Like I have all being that I did so much prior to 18, I could find a job without having assault charges or a lot of different stuff. And me sitting down in jail thinking about losing my job and my children changed my whole outlook on life. I said, you know what, I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of fighting. I couldn't fight no more. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't fight no more.
So, but God. So all. What I'm hearing is that God is orchestrating your life throughout everything. So you meet, and that's another thing that's important. So you meet Mr. Ashley, who is nothing like what you would date, right? Because he
Yeah.
ain't whatever, and you say, oh, he weird, but he know how to love.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that y'all got. That's for all of us. Be careful of the package that it come in, because it ain't about the package. It's about how somebody treats you.
Mm-hmm. He's a great person, awesome provider. He pushed me to do stuff that I don't even feel like I can do. Perfect example, the church we go to, they have been Impact Church of Richmond. I love the church, but the church we go to, they have been, telling us, hey, God didn't want you to stay stagnant. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's more that you can do in life. There's more you can do. They talk about like, opening businesses and things that as young African Americans, we don't think about that stuff. It's just like, okay, go to work, take care of your family. Pretty much. That's it and that's all. If you don't have nobody pushing you to do otherwise. So this time we got our stimulus check. Alex was like, honey, open that business. And I was like, he was like, no, for real, honey, open the business. And he said, well, you use whatever you get, you use it, you open the business. So he pushed me and I'm trying. I went and bought all these, bouncy houses, different stuff. But I also can advance the kingdom and do outreach using that stuff. So yeah, that's what.
So what
That's
kind of
how.
business do you want to open, Tiffany?
So I am doing, I guess, party event, things of that nature. So, yeah, because we're trying to my my ministry. My ministry is trying to reach those that's just like me, that were just like me, and let them know that it's gonna be okay. So I know even living up Fair Hills, when I lived up Fair Hills, if they didn't have anything for the children to do, we won't go on, you know. So yeah, so now I got a lot of stuff set up where the kids can be occupied and we still can be able to minister and just let people know the goodness of God. So that's what I did.
I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you, young lady. You just
Uh,
when did you say, was there a point in time when you said, you know what? I just need to be, I just need to trust God. I just need to be sold out for God. When did that happen?
Um, when I would say when it initially happened, when I left the hospital, and I ended up in Caritas in the shelter, and I would look around and just look at everybody. I would sit there and just look at everybody because I didn't really talk to anybody at first. And I would just look around and I go in the bathroom and I just scream out to God at night. I wouldn't eat, I won't eat, I won't doing anything but the power of prayer. I was just like, okay, God, tell me what you need me to do.
Tell them we
But
get ready to let mommy loose. Cause they want their mama. Like, what are you doing?
that's because Daddy probably in there watching me on the phone. So I'm coming. Okay, I'm coming. Go. Yeah, go ahead. They came all the way out here to ask me could they get a juice. But yeah, that was the breaking point, Miss Val. So when I didn't have anything else but me and him. I didn't have any material items. I didn't have just anything. I didn't have nothing. I was trying to rebuild my life, and that right there was, hey, get it together. And not to say that I didn't make mistakes, not to say that I didn't have shortcomings, but at the end of the day, I knew I could rely on him. So even when I was in the midst of even dealing with my kids' dad and going through all that, the light went out. Even dealing with my kids' dad and going through all that, I kept my eyes on God. Like so much stuff was what is called predestined. It was just a line. And I didn't see it till now, pretty much. But everything was a line. Everything I went through was a line. Even now to this day, learning to love myself and things of that nature, it was a line. Because if my life had been any different, I wouldn't be Tiffany.
Yes.
So.
Yes. But the thing of it is, the connector is that you still knew and you still know to rely on God. It ain't about us being perfect. It's about us saying, I need your help because I ain't perfect.
Yeah.
I just need to know that you right there. So another thing that a lot of people, especially in the African American community, do not talk about. So I suffer from depression. I tell people, everybody know that, right? But you talk about the time that you spent in a mental hospital and how that PTSD impacted you. So and prayer helped you through that.
That's the only thing that helped me through that. Even I deal with depression as well every day. It's a constant struggle. But just being able to wake up every morning, I wake up, I give it to God. Whatever it is I'm feeling, I got to the point where I couldn't I don't try to. You know how some people, when they pray, they feel like they have to pray a certain way. If they're not saying it right, they won't say it at all. He's going to get it how I give it to him. And then that's how I start my day. And even in the midst of it, God give me the strength, help me, constantly. And it works. It works. It really, really works. Really, really
It
works.
does.
But I try to tell people, and I tell my brother he Muslim, well, he used to be Muslim. But I would talk to him all the time, and I say, Fat, how do you know if it works if you don't try? You know, just try to give it to God and watch the peace that you get. Just
Mm.
so yeah, that's yeah, because even through all Miss Valerie, through all that stuff, I could be anywhere. Some of my friends out here, um, strung out on drugs. You got others that kill, and I done did some stuff that, I wouldn't be here. It was nobody but God. I didn't have no say so in that. You know, a lot of stuff. And things have happened to me. Maybe a year or two ago, my blood count was down to 5, and I didn't even know that. Yes, down to 5. I was at work, and I had fainted, and they took me to the ER. I ended up at MCV. And they said, Miss Jones, did you not realize that the color of your skin? I was so pale that pretty much I was losing all my blood. And but God, you
But
know,
God.
I was
But
like, what
God.
in the world? So, but I'm still here.
Well,
All that
you
stuff.
have so you have your beautiful children. You are a married woman. I understand that y'all bought a house.
Yeah.
You and then you were, what were you studying for? Because I was watching you talk about, I only got a little bit more for school, or this is going on with school. What was that?
I was doing nursing. I was doing RN. So, but I think my husband wants me to be an RN so bad. But my passion and the vision that God has given me is a little different, you know. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and finish psychology. Matter of fact, I'm in the process of going back to school now. Because I have all my, like, I got 27 credits. So all I need is a few more. I have my associates. And
Good.
so I told Alex I think I want to go ahead and do psychology. You know, you got a lot of people trying to talk you out of this, but if it's for me, it's for me. God got me, you know. So I'm going to do psychology and go ahead and get my bachelor's. Then I want to open a group home and I want to do outreach. And yeah, I'm a little
You
nervous,
be
but
so
I'm gonna do
good. Girl, you will be so wonderful.
it.
You look, it's children out there right now waiting for you, Tiffany.
I know. At first, I used to be so scared to talk because I never really had a voice, and even when I said stuff, you know, others will tell me that they can't hear me or they can't understand. It was something to make me be quiet again. But now I'm breaking out of that. So, and it's hard, but I just give it to God. Because in the back of my mind, when I say I can, I know he say I can, you know?
You've
So
been doing fine talking right now, Missy.
ah! But you know, I pray before
Listen,
I did this. I just asked the Holy Spirit to help me because I do. I get really, really nervous, but it's because I never felt like I had a voice. You know, you couldn't talk. It wasn't okay to talk. Talk about what? You know, what happens in your house, stay in your house. You're not about to say nothing to me. What I say, you gonna do, and if you do otherwise, then getting bored pretty much. So now I'm able to talk again. God done gave me a voice again. So now
praise
I'm
the
just trying to
Lord.
read the dictionary and get some extra words.
Girl, listen, however you say it, it's gonna mean the same thing at the end of the day. You
Yeah.
know, I think that's one of the things, and I'm gonna say it, in our communities that a lot of us grew up with. What happens in this house stays in this house. You know, is what I say. You better not go put your business out of there. And for a lot of black and brown people, that kept us in bondage. So
Mm-hmm.
no matter what was happening, whether you was being beaten, molested, cussed out, you won't tell nobody. It seems like this new generation, and you tell me if it's true, have taken on, I'm gonna say whatever I want to say, and that they're a little bit more open in terms of their conversation. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. We even the younger generation, my kids, they are free. Oh my gosh. But I also think it's because there's so much like social media and different outlets that they can go to if they choose to, that they don't have to feel like they gotta be stuck anymore. You know? When I was growing up, we didn't even have a cell phone. You know what I mean? The pages was just coming out. So now they can just get on TikTok and, you know, tell their life story. But it's a good thing because they're able to release. What I try to tell my children is that you have to remember everything you see is not real, you know, because they take in so much. So like in my house, they're not allowed that. They don't have phones. Well, they do, but they get it when I give it to them. The tablets, that's an extracurricular activity. They don't have TVs in their room anymore because they see so much, you know, and they don't understand that just because you see it don't mean it's right. I know yesterday in church, Pastor EJ was talking about Little Nazi. I guess he's a rapper. I don't know. I guess I'm old school now, but Little Nazi, and he was saying that the guy was taking the making some shoes and saying they Satan shoes and selling them for $1,000 and putting human blood on them. And I read it, and that's true. Nike endorsing it, but you know our children, they'll be like, "Oh, that's awesome," even though you're trying to pump the word into them and keep them, you know, under God's covenant. For them, seeing the whole world like that, they don't understand that it's not for them, you know.
Mhm.
So I
They
try to
do.
do stuff a little different. They say I'm old school.
No, no, you just trying to protect your kids. You know, my daughter, they don't, my oldest daughter, they don't have a TV. They think it's like Christmas when they come to Grammy house because Grammy got a TV. But there are right now, what those of us who are spiritual know is that we are in a serious battle.
Big time.
And social media as and look, we're on social media now, has its purpose, but there are a lot of spirits that our children are exposed to, and a lot of times, because if we don't have that spiritual lens, it's like, oh well, it's a good babysitter, and they're engaged and they're quiet, but that spirit, it's constant stimulation to
Mm-hmm.
their minds, and their frontal lobe is not even developed until they're about 18, 21. So what is going to happen when they get adults? How are these children going to be impacted by this overstimulation of their minds all the time?
Mm-hmm. That's why I gotta talk to mine, because even though you don't have it in the home, they still see it. They go places and other children, um, have it on. My bonus children, they go to their other parents' house and they let them do what they want to do. And I just have to talk to them constantly and explain stuff. And me growing up, it wasn't no explanation. But I have to explain so much to them, and they have so many questions. You seen them in the car? They have so many questions, and I just break it down to them the best I can. Either I resort them back to the Bible. We'll go to the Bible quick. You know.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, our favorite saying in the home now is, what did Jesus say? Explain to me what Jesus said about that. Jesus ain't say y'all not supposed to be hitting on each other. But it works. It really, really works, because I think being that I had them in church since I was, since I had them, but then beyond that, they see me praying and they see me and Alex, talking about God and, what division is and all that stuff, which honestly, Miss Val, my car keep going out. I'm trying to sit in the car, look, but it keep going
That's
out.
all right.
Oh, I know what I can do. Slow moment. That was a slow moment. I can turn the car on. How about that? But I think by keeping them engaged in scripture and in the
So,
word and
so
keeping them.
Alex said, write the vision, make it plain.
Alex is both of us are a work in progress. So I'm gonna tell you. So I used to go to a Pentecostal church, which is I would go to church, but at the end of the day, once I left, I'm like, okay, God, tell me what I do next. That's how I was all the time. Like, okay, I understand the dancing and praise, but why do I feel a little low right now? Help me out. So just so happened I applied for a position at my job. It's like God sent his angels name. I applied for a position at my job. The first time I didn't get it. The second time I got it, um, the gentleman that hired me, which is now my brother, he me and him used to work upstairs together, and he would be sitting there breaking the scripture down to me. I said, why this? Why that? And I'm asking him every question under the sun. So he'll tell me, but then he'll say, well, I'm not going to tell you to come to my church. I would never tell you to leave your church. He said, but just look into it. If you wanted to, just look at the word. And like sometimes the rebuke is real, like, they're not going to see you fail, honestly. But God placed angels in my life and put me somewhere that's gonna help me and Alex both grow. We growing together. They hold him accountable. They hold me accountable, big time. Oh my gosh! And everything is Bible principle. It comes straight from the Bible. We learning like doctrine, what the word theology means. We learning so much, and that's what we basing our whole life off of, the Bible. Everything we do.
I know it's they look, you've been asking long enough, Mama.
Because mommy
Tiffany,
is mommy. They love mommy. And I'm like, your dad right there.
but that speaks volumes to
Are
you.
you coming inside?
Um,
Hold on. Go in the house.
I'm gonna let you get back to your family, but let me just tell you, young lady, that you warm my heart every time I see you. One day I saw you, Tiffany, and I was crying. I was watching you talk about, that was another time when you was really giving encouragement. And I was like, my heart was so full, because I said, Lord have mercy, who would have thought that almost 20 years later, like I would still be able to watch her grow. So I just want you to know, listen, I'm here. You know that. It's always been like that. Don't think whatever you go through, we all go through stuff. Ain't nobody, I don't care what they tell you, Tiffany, ain't nobody got it figured out yet, right? We are going to be coming until we leave this earth, right?
Mhm.
So know that, and I bet you, and I'm not able to see the comments right now, but I bet you there are so many people on this live who are rallying for you and who are proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And I just want you to know that.
You were, Miss Valerie, you were the very beginning of showing me what love was. From the very beginning. Because when I first met you, I still was in Daddy house. And honestly, just the fact that you showed me attention and actually cared about what I had to say meant the world. And even now to this day, I told you I still think about that stuff. I still talk to my kids about the people that made a difference in my life, big time, because they need to understand it may not be family all the time. You know what I mean? For real. You, Miss Jones, y'all were the woman that I looked up to. Remember, I don't know if you remember that. Miss Stanley, the doctor from the clinic. It used to be a doc.
Um,
Oh man. But God, I told you he used to send his angels. I was running the streets, but I always went to that fan-free clinic to make sure I ain't had no diseases. And one day the doctor that worked in there, she was like, "How old are you?" Because back then, you just went in and got seen. If you had something, they gave you the medicine, you leave. Uh, but she said, "Well, how old are you?" And when I told her how old I was, she took me up on her wings, Betty Stanley, and she would come all the way out to Jacksonville and Jared and come pick me up and take me to her home. Those were the women that I had in my life because I didn't have mommy and I didn't have a grandma. It was my granddad. You know what I mean? And y'all made the difference. Mother's Day, I salute y'all. Y'all don't even understand because if it won't I really
oh,
do. Seriously. I really do. Because if it weren't for y'all, if it weren't for my workers and things of that nature, I wouldn't know what it means to be a young woman at all. I didn't never have it. I didn't have nobody to show me that, you know? But God,
girl. See,
y'all
okay,
understand.
all right.
Don't do that. We're for
I'm
real.
trying to stop. Oh my God, let me tell you something. Sometimes, right, you don't know um what kind of impact that you have on somebody. I always say to God that I wanna be like the best person I can be. I wanna like I want to help people. I want to help somebody. And no matter what I'm going through, like I want that. And so for you to say that to me blesses my soul. It's not because you gave me something too, Tiffany. Like we gave each other something. So look, listen. Yeah, it blesses my soul. I
Honestly.
love you.
I love you back, but honestly, I still remember being in the car with you and your girls when I was in Dice Place on Second Avenue. When you came to pick me up and we rode out, I still remember that. I felt like my spirit was at ease with y'all. I didn't feel like no harm was gonna come my way. I felt love, and all children need that. They don't want to have to walk around and be on guard all the time. They want to feel free to be them. Like you know. So I really truly thank God for y'all. Really, really, really. I would not be here this day, not even be on here on this earth. If it weren't for me trying to make sure that I didn't do nothing so bad that I was gonna hurt me and disappoint the people that really love me. So yeah,
But
yeah.
God.
But God, y'all my angels.
So I cut it out. That's not we ain't nah.
I'm sorry.
Thank thank your husband and your family for lending this time to us. Again, I'm here. If you ever need me, you know that.
I'm probably gonna need you. I'm gonna go ahead and do my vision board. Me and my honey, me and Alex, we're gonna do our vision board, and we got a lot of kingdom work to do. That's what we say. The children are the children, period, all over the world. The next ones up, and until they really know the fullness and the trueness of God, they won't get it. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to go through it. So it's okay to have flaws. You know, you're not condemned because you have flaws. You know, God speak through conviction, but they'll never get it. We don't set the example, especially the ones that actually been through. You know, their
Yeah,
favorite line, and
yeah.
my kids do it all the time. How you know, mommy, you ain't been through that? How you know what I've been through? But I'm gonna let you know, you know. And I tell them my testimony, and they look at me like, oh Lord, she just old. But that's another thing. All the secrets in the household, like, no, they really, really, honestly want to know how did you get to this point, you know? Use that
Absolutely.
example. So I tell them, Lord, I don't tell them. I tell them age appropriate stuff, but I do tell them, you know. But yeah, I really, really love you, Miss Val, and I am so grateful to God for you. You know.
Reach out to me. You said you want to start your business. I know some business people. We could get you, you know, what you need. So reach
I will.
out.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry for my babies, but they love.
Don't be apologizing for them babies,
Good.
John. Don't ever apologize for your babies. They love their mama. That's your family. That's part of the testimony of God. That's love, babe.
It is.
Yeah.
I tried to come in the car and hide. They found me. They
Listen, they
found.
find you in the bathroom. It don't matter where you go. They gonna find you. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for watching Sister Talk with Valerie. This is Valerie McAllister, your chocolate smoothie on Untapped Music Radio. And I appreciate all of you who have been watching with us. I apologize that I haven't been able to get to the comments, but I will look at them after this and respond. And y'all have a beautiful, wonderful evening. And thank you, Miss Tiffany Jones Ashley.
Bye, Miss Val. Have a good
Bye,
night.
baby. You too.
I don't know how to.